The noon sun burned over Dust Creek when the stagecoach rattled into town, trailing a storm of sand and whispers behind it. Men stopped hammering nails. Women paused from hanging laundry. And even the saloon doors swung slow like the whole town was holding its breath. From the coach's window, a pale face appeared. Her eyes, wide and filled with worry, scanned the street like a lost lamb searching for safety in a den of wolves. The young woman's hands trembled as she pressed her fingers against the glass. Her bonnet shadowed most of her face, but her fear was clear as day. When the driver pulled the reins, the horses neighed and stomped, kicking up a halo of dust around the coach. The door creaked open, and the girl stepped down slow, hesitant, like her boots weren't ready to touch this strange land. Her name was Eleanor Grace Whitfield, a mail-order bride from the East who had never seen land this dry, sky this big, or eyes as sharp as the ones watching her. She clutched her small bag to her chest, lips trembling as she whispered, "Lord, help me." The crowd parted when a tall man stepped out of the shadows of the general store porch, his hat tilted low, boots heavy, spurs singing against the dirt. The light caught his face, square-jawed, tanned, with a hint of trouble in his smirk. Caleb Hunter, the cowboy who'd sent for her, wasn't what Eleanor expected. He wasn't old or desperate. He looked dangerous, confident, like a man who could break hearts or bones without breaking a sweat. As he walked closer, Eleanor's breath hitched. Caleb stopped just a foot away, his eyes traveling over her softly. He spoke low, his voice rough as whiskey but smooth as honey. "Darlin," he said, the corner of his mouth lifting. "I don't bite unless." He paused just long enough to make her heartbeat thunder. "You ask me too." The town chuckled softly, but Caleb didn't laugh. His gaze stayed locked on hers, waiting. Eleanor tried to reply, but no words came out. She simply stood there, cheeks burning, clutching her bag tighter. Caleb reached out, gently tipping her chin up with one gloved finger. "You're shacking like a leaf in a storm," he murmured. "Ain't no one here gonna hurt you, least of all me. Come on now, let's get you home." He turned and offered his hand. Eleanor hesitated, then took it. His palm was warm, steady, the kind of strength she'd never known. Together, they walked past the curious eyes, down the dusty road toward the ranch that waited beyond the horizon. The silence between them wasn't empty, it was electric. Every glance, every heartbeat, every nervous breath seemed to pull them closer even as fear lingered in her chest. The carriage ride from town was long and quiet. Eleanor stole glances at Caleb, his strong jaw, his steady hands holding the reins. He looked like a man who'd tamed wild horses and outlaws alike. She wondered what kind of woman he wanted her to be and what kind of life waited for her on his land. As they reached the ranch, Eleanor gasped. The valley stretched wide, golden under the sun. Wooden fences ran long, cattle grazed slow, and the house stood strong against the wind, a symbol of hard work and lonely nights. Caleb helped her down from the wagon, his hand still steady on hers. "This here's home," he said softly. "Might not be much, but it's honest." Eleanor's throat tightened. "It's beautiful," she whispered. He smiled, and something in his eyes softened. "You just wait till sunset," he said. "That's when this land shows its heart." Over the next few days, Eleanor found herself trapped between fear and fascination. Caleb didn't talk much, but when he did, his words carried weight. He treated her kindly but kept a distance, like a man guarding more than his ranch, maybe his heart. She noticed how he'd rise before dawn, his hat low, his back strong as he worked the fences. And at night, he'd sit on the porch, silent under the stars, with that same whiskey gaze lost in the dark. One evening, unable to sleep, Eleanor stepped outside. The wind was cool, carrying the scent of sage and smoke. She saw him there on the porch, a lone figure under the starlit sky. "You don't sleep much, do you?" she asked softly. Caleb turned, surprised to see her barefoot in her nightdress, hair loose like a river. He chuckled low. "No, ma'am. Night's the only time the world feels honest." She walked closer. "And what does honesty sound like?" He looked at her, eyes deep and unreadable, like a woman speaking her truth without fear. Eleanor swallowed hard. "And what if her truth scares her?" Caleb leaned forward, voice dropping to a whisper. "Then she's braver than most." Silence hung between them, heavy and sweet. A coyote howled in the distance, and she flinched, but his hand found hers, grounding her. "Don't be afraid of this place, Ellie," he said. using her name for the first time. The land's rough, but it don't mean harm. It just wants to see if you've got fight in you. She met his gaze. And if I don't? He smiled slow, dangerous, tender. Then I'll lend you some of mine. Her heart skipped. That night, under the stars, something shifted. The fear that had followed her from the east began to fade. Caleb wasn't the monster her letters had warned her about. He was just a man scarred by life, softened by silence, and maybe, just maybe, waiting for someone like her to bring warmth back to his world. But in the shadows of that peaceful ranch, secrets stirred. Not all men in Dust Creek liked seeing Caleb happy. Not all pasts stayed buried. And as the days grew longer and hearts drew closer, danger began to circle quiet as a snake in the grass. Still, as Eleanor lay that night listening to the wind, she smiled for the first time since she arrived. Because for the first time, she wasn't just someone's mail-order bride, she was a woman finding her strength, one heartbeat at a time. And somewhere out there on the porch, a cowboy smiled too, whispering to the dark, "Darlin, you've got no idea what you've started."